So this is a video about how to talk to non-Warframe players about Warframe. One thing that prefaces is I've been seeing some streamers, for instance, come over from games like Destiny, and one of them said in a stream, y'all should have started with the fact you have ships that you can drive around. And I believe the commenter said something like, because it was buggy. Even so, I would say that's correct. When you have games like the first Descendant, and you have, let's just take people who've never played Warframe, right? And then they see all the, let's be frank, super sexual skins or characters, which, whatever. It's, to each their own. And then they see, let's say they start playing the game and they see the color palettes. So in First Descendant, you have to buy each individual color, and it's a one-time use. And then they come to Warframe and they look at our color palettes. It's like, oh sweet, I wanna try out all the free color palettes. And they go to the color palette, and all these would be platinum. It's like, oh cool, how do I get platinum? Oh, I had to buy platinum. And then they look at the different characters that would be locked. It's like, oh, I had to spend real money. And so they conflate the monetary systems to be the same as the first Descendant when it's not. Um, about how we have different events and stuff to get free color palettes. There's just ways to tell people about new games when you just say, hey, try Warframe to a streamer or to anybody constantly. It comes across as desperate or annoying. Um, but it's like, back to my previous point, hey, we have ships you can fly around with NPC crewmates or friends, and then you have a massive dojo, which I learned can fit about 1,000 people in it. So that's massive. You have someone streaming a game, and it's like they would want to do something with their community. You have let's say Astacross, right? Was a recent, I won't say transplant. He's still playing Destiny's Brother now, but he's like a tourist. It seems like he's enjoying the game. And then you have other people like Co Carnage, who started playing a long time ago, and it's like they started a clan with all their viewers, and it's sort of like uh, a large convention with people who like watching your content and just engaging with you. Whereas there are very few games that can actually fill that niche, that thing that people want. It's community. Um, and then people will say, well, isn't Warframe mindless grinding? Or do you not have to pay for things? You have to wait a long time. And I originally had that problem when I first started playing Warframe, was having the problem where it's like, I don't have many weapons, I don't have many slots, there isn't much that I do have as a new player, and then I don't have many Warframes either, and everything takes days. And as you keep going through the game, I realized that those time gates don't really matter because you're always doing other stuff. You're going through the start chart as a new player. Um, the new player onboarding has become a lot better. You have I believe, the Debiri paradox, which is an alternate starting zone for new players. And versus when I started playing, when the game was fairly new, it was a um, almost like a mobile game, right? Where you just have a set amount of characters. You still have to grind. There's really no hand holding. They don't really tell you what to do. They just threw you in there with limited everything, and good luck. And it just sort of leaves a bad taste in my mouth then, because it's like, well, there's really no story. Now they've updated everything. There's story, there's open world zones, and now there's too much. And you get new players to think, I don't have that much time. People who may not like the way other games are going, like First Descendant or like Destiny. But as much as other people might not like to hear this, Destiny and First Descendant have things over Warframe. And one of them is time. I still find myself going back to Destiny because it's like, well, I may not want to spend hours in Warframe, but I do want to spend like an hour in Crucible or, a Strike or just, Gambit. Something that takes, an hour or less of my time. I may get some rewards, but it's still like, you go around, you want to kill things and fast with a team, and just like it still, to me, it scratches that Warframe itch where you still have stuff you need to do as a team. You still need to somewhat look at your loadout. Um, Granted, I've been playing the game for years, so I have more than a new player. But yeah, it's sort of like, yeah, I even tried the First Ascendant, and that still scratched that itch. But for me, I just still love First Ascendant because of the cosmetics, right? So is the thing with Warframe and cosmetics is that you have you could have every Rhino looking the same, right? You could have every Volt looking the same, every Octavia, which is basically what you have in First Ascendant, um, minus the Prime versions. And the only thing they really had going for that is their skins, cool, which you can get sometimes from, PlayStation Plus, and probably some of the other platforms have stuff to give free loot. Um, but really, what differentiates the base player from every other base player is the color palette, right? And even Destiny, as much as people like to rag on that, the customization is there. You can make your own character and transplant it into the world of Destiny. You show up in the cutscenes, that's your character. Same thing with Warframe. Your um, your Warframe shows up the way it looks, the way you make it, in the cutscenes. Um, when they show your operator and your drifter, you customize both of those, and it will show up. And that's putting you into the game. But when you work hard to farm something and then look like every other character, and the only thing differentiating you is things you have to pay for everything, it doesn't. It's really no point, to just grind. Um, which is the same problem a lot of games are having. But those are all side points. The point is that you have people who are looking to coming to Warframe, and just like start off with like simple stuff. You get a hoverboard, you know. It's like, do you just ask a person what they want to do in the game, and that's Warframe. Do you want to ride around a hoverboard? Do you want to go obstacle courses with said hoverboard? Do tricks, do all sorts of stuff like a snowboard, or like Back to the Future with that Marty McFly hoverboard. Or do you want to ride around in a motorcycle? I've seen videos now on Warframe where people are doing stuff that you would see in old Halo Forge back in Halo 3, where you would make obstacle courses and you would ride around with motorcycles and do jumps and loops and all sorts of cool stuff. Like people are doing that in the dojo. The stuff from other games like Halo is coming to is in games like Warframe. It's multiple different games. If you want to play this like Dark Souls, you have the fantasy side of that where you have the very paradox, where you have more like a roguelike, where you have set cycles, sorrow, despair, all sorts of stuff that have different modifiers. Just the list goes on, and how you get random modifiers when you start. You can choose random weapons that you have. Some weapons you don't have, which is great. You can try out different weapons or warframes. Just all sorts of stuff. Like you could get into the weeds. And then you have what is the equivalent? So if you're coming from Destiny, a question I think I heard a streamer ask is there like raids? And an answer I've seen to that is no, there used to be raids, but they were buggy. But we do have endgame content, and we say that as a joke where it's like, haha, fashion frame. But when you're trying to sell this game to non-players and non-player streamers, you got to do better than that. Like Destiny has fashion. A bunch of other games have fashion. Hell, but someone even say First Descendant has fashion in quotation marks. Um, if you like looking at ass, and even Warframe has that. It's sort of like no, you have Endgame, you have Steel Path, which has different enemies that are harder. There's different modifiers, and stuff like that. And then it's sort of like you have people who like build crafting. It's like, well, can I build craft? Can I put mods in like I can in Destiny, and stuff like that. So yes, we have modifiers that aren't just for the guns. We have mods that are for everything, and they're much more in depth with different effects. You can even build stuff, and it's sort of like the list goes on. It's like based on who you're talking to, you could tell them different things and it would be true. It isn't like you're having to lie to them to bring them to Warframe, right? Whereas, you'd sort of have to fudge it to other games. It's like, well, we kind of have that. Hell, they even have fishing. They have fishing. Not everybody likes fishing, but they have fishing. They have mining, and that's another thing. Don't put down people or don't put down the game because you don't like doing something in it. Like, if someone asks you, "Oh, do they have fishing?" Like, yeah, but nobody likes. You don't like fishing, right? Don't. I think what I'm seeing in the Warframe community is something I'm a little bit scared of that I have seen for a long time in the Destiny community, where it's sort of like you have new players coming in and people conflate their negative interaction with that content with everybody else's. And eventually, that becomes everybody else's opinion. When you have a negative opinion and that's all you spew, it spreads to everybody else. For an example, try yawning. Try yawning on a bus or try yawning on a subway and see how many other people yawn just from looking at you. It's the same thing. Don't spread your ass to be, just don't. It's like, what's it say? If you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all. I think that's wrong. You can say something, but say something nice after that. Like, I don't like fishing, but you may like fishing. Or I don't like this thing, or this thing could be better. But if you don't like that either, you can do this other thing. You know, um, Also, like, saying that leveling weapons takes hours while leveling warframes take hours, it doesn't. Like, just looking in the star chart, right? You can go to the star chart and, let's see, just go here. And you have Sanctuary, where you can level up weapons and warframes like that. And it's a good way to try out new weapons and warframes. Also, if you want something a little bit spicier with a little bit better wards, you have Elite. And this changes based off of Steel Path, I believe. If I stick my foot in my mouth. No, it doesn't. Okay, well I think this is separate from Steel Path. Yes. Maybe it's just what I have unlocked. Anyway, there's there's so much. There's so much in this game. And now we have, with 1999, we have a whole set of stuff. We have, like, it's Faceoff, which is like, it's not, if you want to play PvP, but it's, what's the best way to put it? This is mainly aimed towards bringing Destiny players over. So it's like Gambit, but you can't invade, right? And that may not be the thing that does it. It's like some people want to farm salt. In that case, there is PvP, but it's not really alive. Um, I think there are PvP servers, not servers, but like Discord groups you can join that will host. That will do like you get a bunch of people together at once. Um, Dojos also have arenas, so I'm not sure. I haven't really interacted with that, which is like a whole other thing. Dojos, it's like a city. The building, the artistic expression that you can do in a dojo is like one giant. It's like Halo Forge on steroids, plus color palettes. but it's like there's all sorts of stuff. There's open world bosses. There's things to do. There's things upon things, and that's just my take on it. Uh, I'm only coming up with this now because I am seeing there's a time now when people are not happy with the first Descendant. People are not happy with Destiny, and you're the big fish. You're the big fish that are thinking about leaving. You got streamers, like I said, Astacross, and some other people that are starting to have to look at different games because it's people aren't watching, then you don't have the revenue, and you got to look at other stuff. It's just how it is, and I think as a community, as a Warframe community, we are poised to make a very good or a very bad first impression. Um, and I have had those impressions, bad ones, in Warframe. Where people will see what kind of weapons you're wielding and leave, they'll just straight up leave. Um, Also, like there there are other things. Um, and I'm not saying that as a person as people we all do things that piss other people off. You just do it by existing sometimes. Like people are so different that you have two complete strangers in a room that one of them's going to piss the other off if they don't. It's just how it is. It's human nature. But like putting people down about bringing the wrong weapons or bringing the wrong Warframe or like quizzing people on what their build out is or like the fun of Warframe and the reason why it's so relevant is because you can build anything into existence pretty much. Sure, some things are meta, some things are easier, some things are harder, but it's a game in the end of the day, and how someone wants to play the game is up to them. If the way they play the game makes it harder for them to play it, then so be it. Um, I will say that on this note before I end. If the way you are playing this game or any other game is making it harder for your team, then that becomes a problem. You do open yourself to criticism. I'm not saying don't bring whatever you want, but Warframe is a team game of other people doing solo actions. Let's see if I can unwrap that. So what I mean by that is that in a survival mission, right? Um, for instance, you have the new Skulldr missions, right? You have the survival, and you have these things called scrubbers. And on the scrubbers, there will be a ticking meter that will show up on like that you can see. And what it is these blue like pus sacs grow on the scrubbers, and someone has to shoot them off. Um, or if you don't shoot them off, then these hard enemies will show up. And depending on who you have with you, might be a problem, or yourself. And those pus sacs can be hard to shoot off. If you have only guns that have ammo, then that's a problem because you're having to save your ammo for actual enemies. Where if you have energy weapons that don't take ammo, let's say Nadaruk, right? I've used Nadaruk for everything pretty much. I rarely change off of that except for when I have to. And yeah, that's up to how I built it, and I had help building it, but still, it's how you use it. Um, that can be difficult. You can have trouble shooting those off, and you're holding your team up. And if you don't shoot those off fast enough, then you have this big bad spawn that you are tasked now with dealing with if your teammates are halfway across the map. And if they are now having to stop what they are doing, let's say they're looking for a cache, right? A cache spawns and you have to find these keys, and there's another ticking timer, and the keys only show up when you get so close to them. Now they're having to look at their map and be like, is this guy or girl going to handle themselves? Like, can they handle their shit? And it feels bad to them because it's like they want you to have a good experience, but at the same time, it's like You feel bad because you feel like you're bringing the team down, especially if you keep doing that. Especially if you go down. It's like you go down and then you don't want to use your mastery rank because that happens when you pull yourself up, and then they have to babysit you, and then it becomes like everybody's worn out at that point. They just want to leave, and rather than staying longer to get better loot, everybody's having to leave because then they're having to babysit this one person or these other people. And most people are fine with that, but everybody has a feeling. It's like, well, why did you bring what you brought? um, that's what I mean. Like, you are as a team, with the exclusion of exterminate missions where everybody just runs through and kills things. There are missions where everybody has an unspoken job. That if you have lower level players in a mission doing, let's say, Orphics, you have the people with the necromech shooting the objective while the lower level players go around and kill things. They kill the ads and they just make sure the higher level players are the people who can do what the mission is. Their mechs can stay alive longer so they can do it faster and everybody gets what they want. That's just it's yeah, it's anyway, that's just how it is. Whereas in games like Destiny, it's sort of like you're always one person. Your build is itself. Um, and you can sort of round out all the weaknesses. You can do the same thing with Warframe, but it is designed to be a team game. Um, and anyway, yeah, there's a lot to say and there's a lot to do, but there's a lot more to say to streamers and just people in general that are asking about the game than go play game, good game, good. Um, it's a genuine discussion to be had that um, is a community. We just by talking about the game do marketing, and what they say, you only have a first. I'm gonna end the video soon. You have one chance to make a good first impression, and and yeah, it's like that's it. And then either it's, man, I'm going to play Warframe now because I want to fly around a ship with my viewers or just my friends, or man, the Warframe community is way too horny, or either that or annoying, just annoying. Um, and it's like we got to do better. We just got to do better than Fashion Frame, guys. We just got to do better than Fashion Frame. Hell, Destiny has fashion. One would argue that is the ultimate end game. I mean, like getting emblems from end game activities, and that's like the only thing you get in a ship. That is in most times that's what they have. We have so much more than other games. We have so much more. This can be a single player game or a multiplayer game. You can play this by yourself or with friends. Like this is the pretty much every game at this point. Anyway, I hope you all have a good day, and thanks for watching.